Holy snapping duck shit.
My good mate from Bub and Run Booker, Georgia.
I'm excited for another great show tonight. Give it the hoot nanny.
Hey everyone, welcome back to TRACKSIDE with Kokpit, brought to you by GARAGE16. After a week off, as Wayne Otten has commented, it's welcome back, sickos. Kins and Booker back with you right through to around 8:30. How you been, Books?
Oh, I'm a lot better now this week, mate, I tell you. But, yeah, a bit chilly down here in the Hawke's Bay, or up here in the Hawke's Bay, whichever way you're listening from. But, yeah, we went out and got ourselves one of those big bloody 30 kilowatt turbo diesel blower heaters, mate, and put that in the place, and she's all tickety-boo now, mate. But, oh, shit. It's been some cold mornings around the country, innit? Some snow, I think, and stuff around there. And, yeah, it's just a good day. Had a bit of a look around the old space book today to see what was happening, because, you know, I don't see a lot of it. So I thought I'd try and get myself up to speed with everything that's going on. I thought, since we're having two lovely ladies on from SNZ tonight, I thought I'd better go and have a shave and a haircut, you know, and get myself sorted, respectable, instead of looking like the homeless person I was.
I was going to say, I can see that you've had a haircut. I couldn't get into the local barber, mate. He was just like, kids out the bloody door. Pissed me off, to be honest.
That would have pissed you. I was going to say, you missed the haircut a week.
Wait, it's like, what? I couldn't get in. You know, it's like, and he's still open now, and he's still operating until about 9 o'clock tonight. He just can't get rid of clientele. It's just, you know, you would think with the winter season, we'll try and keep a bit of hair on our head, and with that cold temperature up and down the country, like you say, the snow down in the south, they're loving it down there. It's ski bunny season. School holidays are just around the corner in a couple of weeks. Everyone's looking forward to this weekend, long weekend, Matariki weekend. So I call it, in my regards, I call it all hangi weekend. Seems to be the time everyone has a hangi over the weekend. But yeah, however you celebrate Matariki this long weekend, be safe out there and enjoy. I think Wayne Otten, I saw on a post on Facebook, he's already counted down the days to Speedway starting 120 odd days, but he'll keep us up to date.
He did that last year too, didn't he?
He did. Mike Harvey. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I tell you what, today though, mate. You know, like we're lucky enough to make the finals in a couple of the awards for this year, so we've chosen to head up to Auckland and attend the Speedway New Zealand Awards night. And of course, I couldn't find anyone that sold sugar sack shirts and stuff to fit me, being a fat man, so I ordered from Australia, thinking that's the easiest, and I got that size wrong, and there was two, the pants that turned up with fit two of me, so that's, imagine how freaking big they were. I just about swore then, that was naughty. And I thought I'd just give it an experience. I went over to a place in Hastings today in Napier, Hawke's Bay, called Thompson Suits, and I'm a big fan of customer service when you walk into places, and making you feel welcome, and when you leave somewhere, you just feel like you really enjoyed it. And it's the same thing when you go to a Speedway track, mate. You like to be felt to be made welcome as you walk in the gate by the promoter, by the team, by the volunteers. And when you leave that night, you want to go out there talking to your mates about it and having a good time. And I walked into this shop, and there was a little dog in the front that said hello to you first when you walked in. This is a suit shop, you know, mind you. And then a guy in a suit, all dressed up, straight up, walked up to me. Everyone knows me, mate. Jandal shorts, the t-shirt, full beard and hair, everything this morning, so I look like a homeless person. And the guy just did nothing but give me the time of day. Cool. It was awesome, you know, and then measured me up and ordered me some new clothes for the Speedway Awards. And I walked out of there feeling really great. So I just thought I'd mention a place like that, you know, Thompson Suits in Hastings. Man, if you want to get some clothes and looked after, no better place, mate. And that's the same as when you go to Miami Speedway, eh? You just feel like you want to go back every time.
Oh, good on you. Glad you got sorted out because I know you were stressing out a bit whether or not you would try and get in contact with the shop over in Australia, whether or not it would arrive back here to be here by obviously the big event on the 5th of July. So that's only a couple of weekends away. Tickets, I guess, are still available, but Lani will be able to clarify all of that. It's a big awards night at the Dewdrop Event Centre in Monaco, Auckland, where we celebrate Speedway right across the whole spectrum of Speedway from everyone that's been awarded as a finalists, and a big thank you to all of those who nominated as well. Byron Brown-Dixon, how you going, mate? Hope you're all going well. Mike Harvey, we're all feeling better. Richie Mason, Samuel Ashton, mate. Hey, Sam, I understand you're on the other side and no doubt maybe popping into the State of Origin. It's a big night game too. Tony Cox said, Richard and Trudy Aldridge, John Van Roonhoven. Yep, we're all rested up, mate. Back into the full swing of things. Samantha Kiss, Terry Smith, Marcus and Kaylee Tidd. Always doing a great job out there at Little Waharoa Track. Steve Palmer, Paul Mason, Susan Burtis. Mate, we've got a lot going on, but let's just quickly do a brief on what's been happening in the motorsports, especially Shane Van Gisbergen, showing them what to do in his car, and obviously showing them how to do a burnout, how to kick a rugby ball out into the crowd. It's been a while since we've seen the Giz do that, but he's a master when it comes to burnouts, and great to see him celebrate, eh?
Oh, mate, and listen, I mean, he relaxed in that last lap, and he was, still 16 seconds ahead of those guys. And, I just love seeing the Kiwis on the world stage starting to just come to the cream goes for top, Got Scotty Mack over there, but even young Liam Lawson, I see he's doing a bit better too as well. So it's just great to see Kiwis represented in motorsport around this world of ours. And for our little country, we do so well, We have... I think we got the guys going over. What do we got? We got Josh Prentice,
Todd Hemingway,
Scotty Tennant, and
Todd Hemingway.
Todd Hemingway heading over to England to represent us over there. I mean, it's all exciting. There's so much exciting stuff in motorsport and Speedway at the moment. Like I want to talk about the excitement to a couple of things that I'm excited about in the sport with Zoe and Lani shortly, but. Mate, it's all positive, isn't it? I mean, if we look, it's just exciting. If you're a motorsport fan, you've got to be pumped.
Yeah, definitely. And talking of putting New Zealand on the map, especially on the dirt oval track, Craig Cardwell was over there in America racing the big machines over there, the late models. I see Cowlings are over there now as well doing this stuff. People pretty well checked out the latest on Mr. Harris in the UK, his latest creation that's been released as well. And people are kind of getting up and dance for the online side of Wheels of Palar Gaming. That's coming out real soon as well with the team from that. But, good to see those people still involved in some form of Speedway, watching the motorsports, whether it's online through social media platforms, it's everywhere, but it seems to be everyone's just enjoying it on the TikTok these days. And that's something we're going to get involved with one day, Booker and I. We're going to get into the TikTok world.
Yeah, we're gonna try and do the TikTok. I struggle with just the Facebook, so and my kids give me shit for calling it the Facebook. So
yeah,
I don't know if it's because I'm old or what, mate. But hey, it's the social media. If you use it right, it can be a great tool. If you use it like an idiot, then you are the tool. So there you go. Simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah, hard out. Wayne Otten, remembering the man that got me into motorsport, Denny Holm, on what would have been his 89th birthday. So there's a legend name from way back. It would have been 89 today. I think it's a bit of a...
Yeah, and you've also got, just quickly, I think there's the stock cars, Australian stock cars this weekend as well. Yes. We've had a couple of those guys on talk to us, and we had the guys that are building the cars over there that are from New Zealand talk to us at Teams this year, and we're going to get them on at some stage too to talk about how they are going over there with their sport. I believe they've got a tank built now and a Rees copy that Pete did help them with in the building of. So, that's exciting too, mate, that our stuff is heading over there as well,
Yeah, hard out it is. And it's a big weekend this weekend. Scotty Phipps has joined us, and I see our good mate Richard Auckland. We know him as Quasi. He's back out there as well on the track. And it's just good to see some of these names that we had friendship with over the years over across the ditch. And all saying fish and chips now and everything like that. 6 and 7 or 11.
Don't you give us your accents again, boy. You know what happened last time with the English accent?
Oh, my
Hey, we
English
just about
accent was
deported
just
you.
rubber. But, good luck to all of them up there. I think it's in the Queensland area where they're racing, and we may try and catch up with Scotty Fitz one day. But I think we better bring it back, these two lovely ladies, since you've had a nice haircut made and all cleaned yourself up with these wonderful two ladies who join us. We've got Zoe and Lani who's popped in. Good evening.
Hi.
What's been happening, ladies? How you guys been? I'm pretty busy. Lani?
Yeah, it has actually been a pretty frantic couple of months, or actually probably longer than that even. But yeah, a few changes have happened, and obviously Zoe being one of them. So yeah, there's been a lot happening.
Zoe, how hard was it to twist your arm to come back into after 2 years away? What were you thinking? Come on.
Well, no. Look, I think when good people ask for your help, generally you should help. I think that's and you've got a board of good people, so yeah, when they ask for your help, you help.
And I'm guessing over those 2 years from having a break, now you've come to help out. You've been busy in the tyre industry, is that right?
Not quite. No, not quite. We've actually been really busy in the pet food industry, but and that's very exciting. But yeah, no, not tyres for me. No, not this week.
Yeah, we'll squash those rumours. Kids can't help himself.
Okay, Lani. So you've been busy aside from being busy with the S&Z side of things, and you've got a lot going on. Obviously, the AGM's coming up, the big awards. So how's the muffler company going? How's the muffler industry going?
I really wish I knew, and I hope whoever is doing it is doing really well out of it.
Yeah. What is it though? When you hear these kind of rumors, Zoe, tyres, Lani, mufflers, what is it about the world these days? People spark up these bloody rumors. And we know Speedway rumors are some of the biggest going around. Everyone knows everything about every other driver before the actual driver knows what he or she is doing, what they're driving. What is it around Speedway rumors at the moment? What do you think, Zoe?
I just look at it, if they're talking about me, they're not talking about somebody else. So I think that's a win, right? But I don't know if it's time, if it's just chit chat, or, a conversation gets overheard, it's taken out of context, it could be something as simple as that, right? Yeah. I'm English, one of the tyre people's English. I don't know. At times it's just, it's excruciating, but you've got to laugh at it. Honestly, you've got to be able to laugh at it because some of them are quite crazy. But,
yeah. Chinese whispers, and again, it's the kind of world we live in, and I'm guessing, some of these people, when they get into that world of tall poppy syndrome, they just throw it out there.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't think that engineering a muffler would be in my wheelhouse, but it's nice to think that some people might think that it is,
I don't think I could lift a tyre, to be honest. So.
Here we go. We're going to squash those bloody rumours before we get right into the thick of it, because we do have these two ladies who are back with us. Obviously, like we said at the start, Zoe's had a bit of a break, 2 years, but Lani, we build up to the big awards. It's only a couple of weeks away. Exciting times ahead.
Yeah, it's very exciting, actually. I think, to be fair, it's probably one of the biggest things on our calendar where we actually get to all celebrate together in the one spot, and it's everyone and everything. So it's all of the different grades that all come together. It's our volunteers come together, our boards there. It's actually a really special event where we can all be just together in one place and celebrate what is special about our sport and the people in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100% right. It's great to celebrate. And I think we need to do more of that, because we do live in a world, especially if we live in the social media world, everything on social media days can have that negative tone to it. And everyone kind of sheds a bit of a different light on certain things, especially through the racing car Speedway season. But when you celebrate this up in Monaco, Auckland, come the 5th, I think it's a great thing to celebrate. Hey, Books, we're finalists in 2 categories, and it's just about celebrating.
Oh, I think so, mate. I think it's exciting. I mean, and to recognise so many different people, and like you've got your finalists in each one, but there were so many people out there that have all contributed this year. I mean, it's a shame that you can only give three people sort of, hey, look at these three. But I mean, like we said, it was such a privilege to be nominated and be a part of all that media group of people that are doing stuff to promote our sport. And if we can keep encouraging people to do this stuff, it goes right across the board, doesn't it? Where it goes from your media to your volunteers to your drivers to everything, just involving everybody and just making it great and exciting. Is for me, I'm just excited about the future of our speedway. I really am.
I'm guessing with you, Zoe, when you take a look at the time you were involved, I would guess, and now we touch on, and I want to put it in a positive light, social media has a good place for the sport. You're going to have that negative side of it. We know that. But the positive side is people get to see a little bit of visual stuff. They get to see a lot of photos. They get to see information pretty well up front. It does have a place for its positive side of things.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And, the cool thing about social media is it's instant. We all kind of jumped on here at 7:30 and here we are. We're live and we're, there's so many different methods through social media now, whether it's this type of format or whether it's imagery or just text or, you can get messages out real fast. And I think if it's used and it's positive, that's where we should be heading.
Yeah.
I think that's what kind of, if we want to talk about our sport and the longevity of our sport, we've just got to keep pushing that positivity.
Yeah. She's pretty well nailed it on the head there, Lani. Pretty well. It's just driving positivity through social media.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And it is something that we can use as an immediate, a platform to be able to interact with people. So to be able to get messages out and find out what's going on. Social media, it has definitely got a good side to it.
Okay. Let's flip that around. And I do see here on actually one of the latest updates on the June 25 information that's on the speedway.co.nz website, abuse and bullying. We can't get away from it. Booker and I have been very, very strong on this throughout the time we've been doing our show, and we're very, very staunch on it. It's all over our social media stuff and everything. The Stop Bullying, we did little T-shirts recently on the Rees Tour. But, there's a point. Is there a point where sometimes it can go too far, and I'm not going to get right into the nitty-gritty of everything, where SNZ may want to step in there, or is that, am I asking over the mark here?
It's a difficult one because because of the volume of traffic that can interact with a post. We simply don't have the resources to be able to sit someone all day to actually monitor and see what's going on. So we are reliant on people coming forward with something that has, impacted them if they're a member and there is something that we're able to do about it. But and I'm not condoning the behavior because it is unacceptable. But we've all had it in some shape or form, like we've all suffered abuse online, people having opinions about us, saying things about whether it's our personality or it's something about, us physically or whatever it might be, attacks on our family. It cuts really deep. And I don't think that people really comprehend until it happens to them how demoralizing it can be and how deep it can actually cut and hurt. So as much as you're so right, as much as social media has the upside, there is that other side that goes with it. And for us as an organization to try and police all of that, it's just with our current resources, it's just not possible.
Sorry, kids. I just want to add on that with the like you say that I get that there are resources and things like that because it's a huge animal to try and control. But is there a guidelines that as members of Speedway New Zealand or drivers associated with that, is there a guideline that they have to follow when it comes to social media posts? Because one thing when we were on the Restore, the one big thing at the end of every speech each night that Peter said was, don't forget, we are representing Speedway New Zealand. So drive on the roads, don't be that news, And that was a good message to come across. We are representing New Zealand as we're on this, Speedway New Zealand as we're on this tour. So I'm just saying, is there a guideline for the drivers, the competitors, for anyone involved that's affiliated to Speedway New Zealand that they have to follow?
Yeah, there is. I'll actually turn to Zoe to speak to that because the operations side deals with that more than we do at board level. We don't really get to see it until it actually becomes a board referral. So I'll just defer that one to Zoe to talk to you about.
Yeah, so there's a pretty robust social media policy on the website that's available for everybody and does apply to all of the members of Speedway New Zealand. But there are mechanisms, so there are penalties, fixed penalties that apply to different levels of conduct through kind of the social media channels and stuff. So I guess, A, we have to be made aware of it in the first instance. B, it has to fit that kind of criteria. And then obviously then it can be pursued. So there's a couple of steps in the process, but there's definitely mechanisms and good policy around it. We can't go at everything, but certainly when it's kind of quite personal attacks, Lani and I have both been subjected to both. And it's not nice, and it's certainly not nice when they go at your family. That's the lowest of the low, in my opinion. Especially when, my husband didn't ask to be. Obviously, didn't ask to be my husband, but he did. But at the same time, doesn't deserve the fallout from me having done a particular job. Like it shouldn't fall that way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Lani's family and husband, in the same boat. Just because of what somebody does for a job, you'd have met lots of people, I'm sure, and you'd have gone, oh, they were actually a really nice rooster, because there's an impression that they're not, because of the job they have or because of whatever it might be. And so I think it's sad when it kind of impacts the family like that.
Yeah, you're right. It really does pull on the heartstrings in some of these negative comments. And just to put it in similarity to you, lovely ladies, because I wear another hat, I'm in local government, so I'm a councillor. And everyone hates me when it comes to rates. Now, everyone wants to, I can't even walk down the town. And when I stood and ran a couple of teams ago, it became a family impact as well. That's the type of stuff that will drive me away from saying, I'm not going to do it again. Because once it starts affecting my wife or my kids as such, it's like, that is enough. Some people just need to get over them bloody selves. I want to say, hang off and just, it's more to life, but some people just take it out of their own time to bloody just attack. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough of that. I want to move on to a brighter note now because we're going to go doom and gloom all of a sudden. I'll start my mate or Booker here because he's got a few questions. My friend here who's had a haircut for you lovely ladies.
I was trying to make myself look professional for a change instead of like a homeless person. So,
he's been taking down all these bloody notes. So what are your notes, mate? I
haven't got no. I thought for a change, Kins, I'd try and start making myself a bit more professional, but it's not working really at the moment. So we'll just stick with the old still. No. I just got a couple of things, like just a few questions that people are obviously wondering about, I would think, as well as myself. You've just for people's information, you've got some new board members that have come on and some that have left. Can we clarify that for now? Just where we are for people that don't know who's on now and since the previous time.
Yeah, sure. So in March, we had Christian Hermanson resigned from the board. And then naturally being the next highest polling candidate, the opportunity was offered to Peter Rees to take that seat at the table, which he has accepted, and he's now 2 meetings deep in it. Apparently doesn't have any regrets at this point, so happy days. We also had Matt Green, who was our vice president. So he stepped out at the beginning of May, and into that position came Wendy Coots. So so we've got Wendy back on as a director, and she did leave the room momentarily whilst there was a vote happening, and when she came back, she was vice president. So that's what happens if you leave the room. Don't leave the room.
It's no different when you get invited to an AGM. Come along and have a listen. No, because if I come along and have a listen, I'm going to be on a board or something.
You know you're being nominated. Yeah.
You know, pretty well know that's it. But, you know, we cannot do it. And I just want to reiterate too, because this month we focus on up and down the countries. Our country cannot operate on any events. And I'm talking more around volunteers. It's Volunteers Month. We need to recognize these people. Hence the reason the volunteers in the Speedway Awards, volunteers that turn up in their 50, 60, 70 number groups to these tracks that we operate. We can't do it without them. They're there from whenever they need to be there, when they've asked to be there, till the last one that's going to leave maybe. But volunteers, you know, just to reiterate, Zoe, and look, volunteers, not just our lovely sport, but anywhere up and down the country, there's not enough of us. Most volunteers are associated with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 or 10 events, but we can't do without volunteers.
One of the sport. So yeah, I mean, it's unreal what they do and what they give up in regards to their kind of personal time. Every tech committee, every subcommittee, you know, it's all volunteer driven, from the guy that probably opens the gate at most tracks to the, you know, the guy that drops the flag. You know, it's just insane the amount of kind of value that comes from the volunteer base, and that they all turn up every week and they're still smiling, and that's just amazing, eh? Like, it's just amazing. So yeah, it's just such an incredible part of the sport. We're actually really blessed because we have quite a good recognition program for volunteers, be it through the Speedway New Zealand volunteers or through track official volunteers. So they're recognised every year. So we are really focused on that, because without volunteers, you can't do nothing.
Yeah.
Really can't. Like, it just doesn't, the system and the model doesn't work without that. And they're just amazing. Some of the stories that you read when you see those nominations come forward from tracks and stuff, they're unbelievable. You know, 20, 30 years worth of service to a track and things like that. It really is amazing.
Yeah. Just wish we could have more of them, eh, Books? You know, create more volunteers. It is a little different in this kind of, dare I say, new generation coming on through. They seem to struggle with that word volunteer. They want to do bugger all and get paid a bloody fortune these days. It's just what it is, and I'm not going to get right into the nitty gritty of that. But yeah, volunteers, I just take my hat off to them all. You know, I see them everywhere. I've been around the sports circuit for decades and everything, and we volunteer our time. Why? Because it's the love and passion that we have. It drives us, you know, and you just hope to grow the next generation coming through. Grab someone next year, take them to a track and get them to be a volunteer. A lot of tracks cannot do without more volunteers. You know, when the offer goes out there, put your hand up, go and be a volunteer and help out, you know. Hey, Box, that's us volunteer. We volunteer our time all the time, mate.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%. And I mean, we've always praised them and said what we say all the time about them, Kins, because we know what it's like and what it takes. And I think everybody understands it. It's just good to give them that appreciation that they deserve. And but I'll move on to we'll move on from that one. And I've got a few questions here for you lovely ladies. So we know the remits and everything had to be in and done. When do they finally get signed off by you guys? And was there a good influx this time around? Because like we spoke about, I think last time, Lani said to people, if you want to have your say, then put your say in, and now's your chance. So did we see the ones that speak the most and the loudest actually put something in?
We did actually have a few individual people put in submissions or remits, which was good to see, because yes, there are people out there who are hugely passionate and have put forward some really good ideas. So yeah, no, they have. We haven't. I mean, there's been years where we've had many more remits, but it doesn't say by the numbers of what the quality is, if that makes sense. Yes. So it doesn't really matter how many you get, it's what the quality is that comes through. And to be fair, that they do have a similar flavour about most of them. I think that would be fair to say, Zoe.
Now they're available on the website. They went out as part of the last 40-day release. So they're available for everybody to read. There's submissions that have been received from all around the country from members, be it tracks or individual competitors. And that's the process. They go to the AGM floor to be voted on. So Lani or I don't get a vote on those rules. The board don't get a vote on those rules. it literally goes down to the delegates at the AGM. So that's one competitor representative and one track representative gets to vote on those rules. Yeah, of course. So that's how that process works, if you're familiar with it.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear for people, is that exact point of how that process happens, so people don't think, oh, it goes to the board and then they decide and they've wrecking the sport and this, that, and the other, but it's not. You're getting a delegate from every track. So, and that's correct, is it? Sorry.
Yeah, so there's select rules that go through the AGM process. So the kind of your alphabet ones, if you like, which was a good phrase that Lani used the other day. So everything except T goes through the AGM process. So everything except the T rules, which are technical rules, they go through a different consultation process every year. But everything from the Constitution to rules that relate to kind of rule enforcement to how a protest might be conducted or any of those kind of things. And racing rules themselves, so how you regrid a certain class or whatever else, they all go through the AGM process.
Cool.
Yeah. It can be a really interesting process too, because you've got the competitors delegate there, and you've got the track delegate, and sometimes depending on what the rule category is, the interests between the two can be conflicting, and so it can actually create some really interesting dialogue from the floor around those particular rules. So it's a good process. People get to have a really good pull at what they feel or what the remit is. So we're looking forward to a few of those, I think, because we've got an entire constitution to bring through and a rotation, or not a rotation, a title allocation rule to bring through as well. So we're hoping that those ones are received really well. A lot of work has gone into both of them. There was a subcommittee put together for the title allocation rule, and that was a complete rewrite with consultation with the promoters, and so there's been a lot of work go into that, and also with the Constitution. So that has been, I think, now close to 2 years in the making, and has been out for consultation as well. So that one's sitting there ready to go, and that's a substantial piece of work. So I'm hoping that everyone is happy with that one and that it flies through, because boy, oh boy, Wendy and Alice have put in a huge amount of work, and then in consultation with our legal counsel as well, to make sure that it's nice and tidy, and nothing's been missed. So that's added a whole lot more protections in there for members, as well as just cementing what was already there. And I think that's probably about it around the Constitution and the title allocation, and the rest of them are mostly racing rules, and a few others scattered in between. So yeah.
Well, thank you both for clarifying that and getting it out there for our viewers that are watching as well. And hopefully for you that are watching the show, look, here's a handy little tip. If you go to speedway.co.nz, have a look at the homepage. If you think you know the rules any better than anyone else in amongst the committee, what I want to suggest to you is download the app. I remember when we had Lani on the last time on the show, she told me about the bloody app. I went and downloaded it straight away. Everything you will need to know is actually on the application. Everyone has an app on their phone these days, not just the good old social media platforms, but everything from the changing of racing rules, technical rules, dispensation, how to become an official, and everything you'll need to know. Go to the website, but even better, download the app. Anyway, Box, back to you, mate.
Not me for the app, mate. I'll print it out and read it old school, otherwise I can't see it. I'll go, print.
Get your magnifying glass out.
And then I get my big magnifying glass out over the top of the paper. Yeah. So, we talked about that. So you talked about the new. There's obviously been a lot of talk over the years about that, how the title allocation and rotation of stuff like that. But for me, another thing is how much is that brought into it with Western Springs closing down? Did that create, can you answer how much that's affected the rotation at all, or is it the new rules coming through everyone's going to vote on be that deciding factor there? I mean, like with Western Springs closing, obviously everyone's still waiting. Like I still haven't seen where the TQ New Zealand's are yet, things like that. So has that affected you quite a bit, that happening, or?
Well, it hasn't yet because obviously Western Springs is still a member track of Speedway New Zealand. And at this stage, they've qualified for their championships. And we're just waiting really to see where they'll be domiciled, to see where those championships might be run. So it's just I think it's just a waiting game really to see where that all lands.
So can they decide where they want to run that championship with their track not being able to be used, or?
Well, I mean, at the moment, there's the plan for them to cohabitate with Waikaraka Park, as I understand matters to be. So I would hope that the council's working closely with them to get that facility up and running for them to all be able to do what they need to do next year. The calendars haven't been finalised yet around the championships, as far as I know. So I guess, yeah, we're all just going to have to wait and see, I think.
On that note of talking Waikaraka Park, I mean, are you guys as excited as I am for this? I mean, like, we talk about how everyone talks about how it's a great loss for Western Springs, and which it is, and don't get me wrong, but how exciting is it to see another track get a revamp like that? And like, I hate going to Auckland, you know, but I am excited like you wouldn't believe to get up there and watch a meeting with the new track, the wall, the seat, everything. It's so exciting. Are you guys as excited as I am about this new track? Like, I call it a new track because they're doing everything there. So they've moved out into the car park. They're making facilities. Bruce was talking to us about it. I mean, I was talking with Peter Rees about it, and he's the same as me. We're excited to go to Waikaraka Park this season just to see the new track and for him to race on it. You know, are you guys at Speedway New Zealand? You must be over the moon with what's happening there.
Yeah, well, we've been supportive of Waikaraka Park getting the funding to upgrade right from the get-go. There was some mistake made early on where it was suggested that by supporting that, we were in some way supporting the closure of Western Springs, which was never the case. We never had a mandate from our members to support such a thing. And so it was unfortunate that we were misquoted in that way, but absolutely for Waikaraka Park to have the funding that they need to go into their facility to upgrade it, because let's face it, it's been needing to be done for a very long time and they've been crying out for it, and to have their lease and everything nice and tidy for them coming up, it is really exciting. It's exciting for all of their members. It's exciting for ours. And yeah, I don't think anyone probably could be as excited as they all probably are, waiting apprehensively for everything to fall into place.
Yeah.
And yourself, Zoe, what about you? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, look, it's great. I mean, 10 odd years ago now, I recall when the grandstand was kind of condemned and they were supposedly doing something with it. So to finally be in a position where, things are really moving for them, I think is absolutely unreal. We need speedway tracks. The sport doesn't exist without venues. So, to have a redevelopment of a venue, an existing venue like that, and to have, the opportunity, for, a complete track redesign and everything else is unreal. Yeah. So I think that the team have done an amazing job at Waikaraka Park to kind of get that and to have the staying power, because they've had to have some real grit to kind of keep going through some of those processes with council and local body and all the other stuff that goes with that, which I'm sure you'll be across, Kinser. So,
yeah.
and for, again, volunteers to have had that staying power and the skill base to have dealt with that in the way that they have to actually get this thing across the line is unreal. Unbelievable. Amazing effort.
Yeah, I know exactly 100% what you're talking about, and some of those barriers and that red tape that you got to go through just to get through the first hurdle. I'm excited like Booker. I can't wait to see the opportunity, and this is the door that's kind of opened the opportunity for a much needed upgrade to a facility that's been around for a long time. Look, not as long as the Western Springs, and history will show that when you take a look at the in-depth behind the scenes side of things, but it's created an opportunity, and the opportunities now has actually got to work in favor to get bums on seats. Financially, economically, it is tough. We all know this, and a lot of tracks have struggled to get the patrons through the gate. The entertainment's there, but there's so much other entertainment around that we're competing against for the good almighty dollar. It's the tough thing, and I'm excited to see the future, what's going to develop from this track, because I'm only in Pidal, so I'm not that far away. I'm only just an hour and a half, so not that far at all. But yeah, I kind of watch with bated eye to see how this develops over time. And I really suggest, people get along. And me and Booker have been strong on this for so long to make tracks successfully work. If you can get along, they support them. There is a
Put your
lot of
backside,
work.
trackside.
That's the one, because we speak to promoters all the time. There is so much work, and they work right around the year. There may be an off-season. Well, actually, no, there's not an off-season for drivers. They live in the bloody sheds in the off-season. People who work at the facilities still continue to bloody work. They may get a month off if they're lucky. But, make it work if you can. That's the idea, I would guess, Lani, is to kind of make it work if you can financially do it.
Oh, have we lost Lani?
I froze. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. It's fine. Sorry, I didn't mean to freeze you with that question.
Kids' question was, I don't want answering that.
It stopped the internet. I don't know what happened.
Oh, what I'm saying is just get your backside, trackside. Pretty well, that's it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's the only way to keep the gates open.
Yeah, we all have our big particular events, like you say, in the calendar. People are already at the moment jotting down in their own personal calendars, adding it into their cell phones, which events they're going to go to, financially trying to make that all work, because one thing, they've got to work out the travel. Two, they've got to try and get the time off from work, as an example. Maybe look at accommodation, sort out babysitters, someone to look after the animals. Who knows? There's all these different things that people got to do. Anyway, my mate, Books, back to you.
Oh, back to me again. Shit at hell. I'm making me look professional with actual proper questions for a change. I normally just sit back and make comments on the side. It makes my life much easier. So just from both, a question for both of you, we'll start with you, Lani. How do you think the sport sits at the moment? Are we in an exciting time at the moment? I feel like we're moving forward with some exciting stuff. Is the sport looking really good and sitting well at the moment?
I think we're actually poised to move forward in a reasonably brisk fashion now. We've had a pretty, I'm not gonna lie, it has been a pretty rough last 12 months, to be fair. We've had a few things that haven't gone particularly well. There's been a few things that have gone really well though, which has been nice. But I think we're actually poised to move forward now in a really positive way. We've got some really good people. Obviously we've got Zoe back steadying the ship in the operations team, and we've also got a good board there, and we've got that experience with Wendy Coots back on board. I think from what I'm hearing, unless I'm under a rock, there's some really good stuff happening out there. There's some people out there who are doing some really good work. So I think we are actually poised to move forward quite quickly now.
Right. Zoe, what do you think?
Oh, hey, look, I actually had a quick view of the stat pack today, which is the statistical pack that goes out with every AGM pack. It's pretty comprehensive. I don't think there's a more comprehensive statistical pack in the world, because it's pretty good. And hey, look, base numbers are actually, given the current economic climate in this country, the base kind of, our main, what I call full-time license holder numbers are really strong. And I think that says a lot. You'll have a bit of a drop-off with kind of your one-day, like some of your disposable income kind of users. But actually the sport's pretty strong. I think the drive on technology has been a good part of that. And I think there's some more development there that would help make that a bit better for all users, kind of just embracing the tracks into that technology more, and getting them so that makes it easier at track level, because they're volunteers. And I think we should always be making it easier. So yeah, I think actually overall, given the current economic climate, and it's definitely tough out there, you don't have to go far to hear that story. So the sport's actually quite really well placed. There's always going to be risk. in what we do. There's always going to be threat and you know, and all those kind of things. But I think with kind of moving forward now, I think it's in a really strong place.
Yeah, I think it is
one of
too.
the sorry.
There
I
you
think
go.
one of the key things is a really marketable product. Like Speedway is undiscovered by a lot of people, and I go back to you on this, Kins. Like, there's people out there that don't know about Speedway. Hey,
No,
no.
no. Well, like, yeah, like how we
When
spoke
they
when we
find
got.
out, they're just going to run
Yeah,
the gates
yeah,
down. But
yeah.
yeah,
Like we counting down the days. We can't wait to get the smell of the methanol, get a hot dog and the mud back in the bloody face. To be honest with you, I'm in withdrawals at the moment. To be honest, I'm watching a lot of online stuff just to kind of keep me going. But otherwise, you're right. It's an unknown product, but it's been marketed in a great way. And why the hell is it unknown for many out there? And I've taken many people along to certain tracks and to enjoy the night. Mate, they just love it. The hot dogs are the best things going around. Can't beat Nelson's hot dogs, Lani? But you know, it's just I don't know what it is. The sport's been around for decades. It's created so many champions. It's in a good space because you got this wonderful class of young kids coming on through. And I'm not particularly going to talk about the mini stocks because there's the open wheel young kids coming through as well. There's also the smaller tracks compared to the SNZ tracks that have young kids coming through, boys and girls. I think it's in a great space because what it does, it creates future champions on the dirt, on the oval. But even if they step out of that into another form of motorsport, it creates champions. And I think young boys and young girls and parents would love this. Grandparents love being on the side of the track, watching their little grandkid scoot around on the track. It's like, it's the best entertainment. And to be honest with a lot of you out there, it's not that overly expensive.
No.
At some of these tracks, they're really suited to the family caring. Some tracks do it like that. Your bigger meetings, your big championships, yes, expect to pay that little bit more because it costs so much money to put on these big events.
I think that's the thing, Kinsey.
That's it. But a lot of tracks can cater for it. So if you can do it, like I stressed, Booker and I, get your backside, trackside. There you go.
And that's a big thing to remember too. There's what people don't realise is what it costs a track to run a meeting. So when they run a big meeting, it probably costs them twice as much money. So you have to put a bit of the price up on the ticket to cover that cost. Because if you don't cover that cost, then the track won't survive and we won't have that speedway track. So people got to realise, and what do you pay to go watch a rugby game? You know, I mean, you don't get that much entertainment at a rugby game as you do a soccer game. You might get good entertainment at a rugby, but you get good entertainment and longer entertainment at a speedway track. And the only way we can keep it going is if we put our backside trackside and support them. And like me, in the off season, I spend my whole off season saving up to go to speedway for the season. That's it. That's how I do it. You know, don't buy that pie that week at Smoko or that can of Coke. You know, that's, you know, the pie to drink these days is about the cost of getting to the speedway anyway. So, it's, you know, but yeah, it's yeah, like Ken said, the young kids, and like in the South Island too, you have the youth saloons instead of mini stocks, which are bringing kids through. It's just, I wanted to hear your guys' opinion on that, with the state of the sport, because I think it's in a real exciting place at the moment with the people I talk to and what I see around, you know.
Sorry, I think it's really important to remember as well. It's such a family sport. Like it's just, you know, it's mums, dads, grandparents, grandkids. It's the whole 9 yards. Like it's such a family-friendly sport in that regard. We kind of run into that issue because our own child kind of has her favorite. You know, she has her favorite drivers now, and it's like we want to go I need a new whatever shirt, and it's like, oh, but yeah, you know, so it's so cool that even if they're not necessarily participating, that they can get involved in kind of following particular drivers and all that kind of stuff. It's amazing, really.
Oh,
you know, we're talking before about you're saying that people, Lani, yourself and kids are saying so many people don't realise what our sport is in that. Have you ever come across of thinking about in the off season doing a tour or organising with each tracks in the off season to go to schools? Like when we did the South Island tour of the Rees tour, we stopped at a school, took a couple of cars there, and then we went and spoke to the kids in the hall afterwards. I had to translate kid for Peter, but because he's not quite there talking to children, but it was something they really enjoyed, the whole school, and I thought we talked about it afterwards, all of us that were there. Like, there's something we probably could have done, like a night or a day before a meeting, and then you give it a couple of free passes to the kids, and then the whole family has to come, and suddenly introducing more people. Has Speedway New Zealand ever talked about like organising like a road show or something like that type of thing to go to schools, or I don't know, just to get more people interested?
Not that I'm aware of, but I did see that. I did see that online when you guys did that, and it did look really great. I do remember as a kid though, when this, not saying that we're a circus, so it's just an analogy, but I remember as a kid when the circus used to come to town and they would bring passes for the kids to go. And so you would naturally drag your parents along they'd have to take the entire family to the circus, but this one obviously is not a flash in the pan thing. It's something we could actually turn into, a lifelong interest for people. So yeah, I like where you were going with that. I think it has merit.
Yeah. I agree 100% with that, a roadshow. And you're right. I remember being a young kid, and that's not that long ago. What am I, 21 now? So I remember when they turned up for the circus, and we went along, took mum and dad and did our thing. I think it's a bloody brilliant thing. And the more we can do that type of stuff, get it within the schools, because to be honest with a lot of people out there watching, a lot of the kids and their families turn up. And I'll tell you what event they turn up for. It's the fireworks. They turn up for the fireworks because the promotional activity that's done on every track around fireworks will just about sell out a track. So we can do something a bit more interactive during that to get them to come back, because that's such a successful event at every track up and down the country. Don't tell me otherwise too, because I know I've seen it before and I've seen it many a times, but it's just how do we get them to come back in that gate again? But fireworks, it's the fireworks. And all you hear when you sit up in the commentary box where I am commentating, wow.
And that's just Kinser.
But it's so cool. It'd be good if we could do that. But I like the roadshow. I'm keen. Let's go on a roadshow, Book. Let's do it, mate.
Well, I think my thought behind process as well is like, I know how expensive it would be to make up one roadshow that travelled around the country. It's not a feasible thing. You just can't do it. But if you talk to each club and said, hey, listen, as an SNZ club, we'd love for you to do this. Maybe find a couple of schools to go to in the off-season, get some drivers, because I know the drivers are keen to go and park their cars up and see the kids. Have a couple of people talk, If they contact me, I'm happy to come to their town with my camper and talk to the kids for them and be the promotional person. I just think that it was such a great success what we did there, and it really is a good way to look at it moving forward, I think, to get more bums on seats. What are your thoughts on that, Zoe?
I love it. Absolutely love it. Because that's the next generation of spectator, it's the next generation of volunteer, it's the next generation of driver. So we've got to be kind of in front of those people. So yeah, I love the concept.
All right, Box, we'll go to the AGM and bring it up, hey, mate? That's us. That's us. We're going to do it. That's what we're going to bring to the table at the AGM. No one else think of the idea. It's our bloody idea. You can we got that idea. We're going on a road show, Booker's camper, travelling to all the schools and promote Speedway in a positive note. We want them all. We'll give away a ticket or two. We just like tell the promoters on the track. I will tell them later. You can deal with that afterwards.
So talking about the kids, we're getting close to the end there. So I thought I'd probably talk about this last question. We talked about it off air before, but I just think it's a subject that it's not a negative subject to talk about. But young mini stocks, is there moving forward? I think it's Zoe. I need to talk about this, not Lani. Just part of that part, but do they see the future of mini stocks having their own title, an actual SNZ title, and also looking at what we can do to sort of clean it up a bit? Because there was talks. I did an interview at Invercargill. A lot of people saw it, some people didn't. Where we talked about the mini stock class and the likes of Paul Vasey chimed in, and so also Peter Rees, and they talked about how sometimes it just needs to be sorted in a way where it's getting a bit too competitive and a bit too rough and a bit too fast. And I mean, it's not negative. I mean, you put someone in competitive, and these kids are just as competitive as the adults, it shines through. But you've got to have a point, I think, and what Paul was saying, to slow it back. I mean, originally it was they all went out there, you turned the lights green, and then they went orange and you stopped. It wasn't a race. But then on the other instance, I'm saying to you, are they going to get their own title? But if that was the case, would there be a more sort of something to do to sort of, I don't know, to somehow to clear? I mean, it's a big, the numbers are so big in that class. I don't know I don't think there's a quick fix, but is it something that maybe that you guys are looking at as if moving forward, or is it not sort of come up as such?
I'll deal with that in two parts, but the national class status, which is where you get your 1, 2, and 3 NZ, if you like, that's actually an AGM process, so there has to be support from the AGM for that. They're the ones that get to vote on that process. There's a process for the class to go through in order to go to the AGM and then be voted on in that regard. But ultimately, it has been a discussion topic at AGMs in the past. It's always kind of been seen that, probably a bit like Paul Vasey kind of said, the lights went green and, you know, then they went red and that was the end of it. There was no race, you know, that it's really there to kind of grow kids in the sport. It was never kind of intended to be an ultra competitive environment, like anything in motorsport. When it gets kind of competitive, as we've seen, you know, more money gets involved. That's more barriers to entry. We want more kids in cars, right? And interestingly, looking at the stat pack today, you know, the numbers of kids in the sport has grown massively over the last decade. So that should be something to be embraced. We're obviously doing something right. If we get to the point where we start giving out, or, you know, the AGM opt that that's the right path for them to go in that ultra competitive environment where there is a 1, 2, 3 NZ at stake. I don't know quite that's the environment that we want kids in, especially given the age variation that you get in many stocks.
Yeah.
That's a significant age variation. So there's a lot of things to consider there. You know, again, looking at the infringement statistics, many stocks always feature. It's just one of those part of the course. But you know, contact was a big element of that. So, but ultimately they have bumpers. You're not going to see that level of contact in a quarter midget because they don't have bumpers. So, yeah, I guess that's just part of the design as well. They don't, you know, if you ride a wheel in a quarter midget, you're upside down in the fence. If you do that in a mini stock, you just make a big bang. So it's a different, you know, it's a different kind of deal. But yeah, look, I think what was really positive is to see the growth in the youth classes. I don't think we've got it all wrong. Can you always tweak and maneuver things? Absolutely. But based on that growth, I think it's a really good sign. Yeah. Because they are our next champions. You're absolutely right. You know, there's always going to be a percentage that drop off that don't make the transition into the next class, or, you know, for whatever reason. It might be schooling, education. It might be, I don't really fancy one of those, or I can't really afford one of those, or, you know, there's a lot of reasons why people don't make that next step. But what we do make is really good drivers. And I don't think that's regarded enough either. So, you know, many stock drivers make really good drivers because they've driven on a track after the water track, or, you know, or various things. They've learned to, you know, understeer, oversteer. They've learned all of those things that the average 16, 17-year-old going into a car hasn't.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too that it promotes, Zoe, in that class is it prepares them better for the New Zealand road. You know, when they start on that track, I think that's another positive out of that mini stock class. Not only as we creating new drivers, but we're probably creating drivers that are more aware of situations on the road.
Yeah, look, you know, we're blessed as a sport because we have, you know, men and women compete against each other with no actual advantage or disadvantage. So, you know, we're so fortunate to have a sport like that as well. When you look at some of the turmoil going on in the world at the moment around different sporting codes and stuff, it doesn't matter in our code, and that's another strength to our sport. And the fact that we've got so many amazing young young boys and girls coming through and becoming amazing drivers, whether it's to be an ex-champion or whether it's just to be a good driver on the road. That's something to be recognised.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That's very informative.
Yeah. I love the clarity around that too, Zoe, how you explain that, especially at that young age. You know, most other sport coaches these days seem to tend that younger age, and they use the word participation quite often in a lot of other sports. But no, I like how you explained that. The other part that I liked about that too was some of these young boys and girls, believe it or not, the odd one or two will move into a career which is going to be around mechanics, working behind the cars, behind the scenes, whether it's in the engines, whether it's welding. That's that opportunity. It creates a career path for a lot of these young boys and young girls as well, you know. So it has its positives, definitely on and off the track, I would guess. So there you go, just sharing a bit of that. Hey, Amanda McDonald, look, I'm sorry that we haven't got through a lot of these questions that have been popping in and out. And Mark Winterborn, Zoe's back in the office. What has it got going on here? Mini stock drivers, pumped, yeah, full of passion. Brian England. Who else we got watching in? Steve Dryden. So youth saloons in the south. Darren Letwin. Do you used to travel around to any of the big SNZ allocated championships? Do you make an appearance, or you're just too busy in your own lives, Lani?
I did try to get to a few this year, but other things ended up taking priority at times, and I wasn't able to get to all of them. But I do try to go. Like, obviously, we go in an unofficial capacity. We just go and test out the hot dog stand and find where's the best vantage point to view from. So,
Okay. Cool.
yeah, try to get around as many as I can. I got around a good number of tracks this last season, but there's some I didn't manage to get to, and it's regrettable. But sometimes the weather just doesn't play ball either.
Yourself, Zoe? Try to get to the odd track.
I've had 2 years off.
Yeah, I know. You've been missing it.
Yeah, look, I've been to one race meeting in 2 years. So
Wow. Wow.
we
We should have kept that quiet.
Anyway, I know. But yeah, so but we definitely watch highlights, and we definitely watch bits and pieces. You're never too far away from it. You can't not be. But certainly I have been to a number of big events over the years. So and really lucky to have been to a lot of those big events. You know, they're an amazing thing to be part of.
Yeah.
Cool. What else you got there, Books? You got any more before we wrap it up?
I was just gonna say to them both, we get a final word from them on their thoughts moving forward with our great sport. We'll start with you, Zoe. What's your thoughts of how you think we're situated and moving forward? Just a final thought from you, and then a final thought from Lani.
Look, I think all things considered in the current economic climate, you know, the stats are really good. The sport's in a really strong place, you know, against all odds really, because we're not necessarily the cheapest thing to participate in. We're not the most expensive, but we're not the cheapest thing to participate in. So when we talk about disposable income, we're pretty blessed that the numbers are as strong as they are. I think the board are on this pathway, and I've met with them once now as a full board, and it's been amazing. And I think the AGM is going to be good outcomes. There's good remits to set the sport in kind of good stead for the future. So I think it's all really good. And obviously they're going to get a replacement, so I can go back into retirement. Please.
Yeah, Lani?
Yeah, I think I just really echo what Zoe has said. I think we have got some really good people in places where they can do their best work. We've got some really good support. I guess supporting industry, like the likes of yourselves and others doing what you do to advocate for the sport and on your own platforms. And I think that's really important for us to grow as well, to capture as many people as possible through as many platforms and opportunities that are out there. So I think we've got a really marketable product. We just need to be able to capture that audience to help drive the numbers and help with, like, you know, we are in a bit of an economic downturn, and we have been for a little while. So whatever we can do through any of those platforms to try and drive that revenue through to help those tracks that I think will be really important going forward, because they are the ones who do the nurturing and the mentoring of the youth as they're coming through. They are the ones who find the volunteers who nurture those relationships as well. And so I think it's just vital for them to be able to have the resources that they need to be able to move forward. But I think, just echoing what Zoe said, we are in a really good place at the moment, and well placed to continue growing.
Awesome.
I think on that note, Books, that pretty well wraps it up for the show for another Wednesday. Good to be back after having a week off last week, my friend, and get some clarity around a lot of things on the SNZ front side of things, as we look forward to being part of many others as finalists at the Dewdrop Event Centre in Monaco, Auckland. Can't wait, mate, to see you in your dashing suit. I can't wait. I can't wait, eh?
I tell you, it's going to be shocking. I wanted to go in my jandals and shorts, but there's a dress code for the awards, so I better not do that. So I mean, I understand. Get your tickets, people, and get amongst it and come join us. I've trying to get Mr. Vasey to join us, and his lovely wife. So hopefully we can get more people there and come enjoy the event and celebrate what a great season of Speedway we had, and celebrate the people that are going to win awards. Yeah, I just think it's fantastic, and looking forward to it, myself and Kins. But we thank you two ladies, especially for giving us your time tonight. We know you're both busy with everything coming up, and you're only, 3 weeks or 2 weeks away from the big AGM and the awards and everything. So I hope you guys really enjoy yourselves there and enjoy your meetings. And thank you for joining us. We really, really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Great.
Here we go.
Right.
Zoe and Lani talking on behalf of what's been going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes. And I'm thinking of the future, mate. You know, I think the sport's going to be a hybrid in electric. No, I'm just joking.
That's it. I'm gonna boot you from the show.
We've got to think about the climate. Come on.
I am. There's not enough smoke going up there.
Yeah.
On that note, hey, look, thanks everybody for joining us again this week on the show. We'll be back to our normal next week. We're going to get some more tracks on to talk about their season and upcoming seasons. And yeah, thanks so much. We really enjoyed bringing you another show.
Yeah, enjoy your long weekend. Be safe if you're going to be traveling around during the Matariki weekend. Next week, we'll be back, like Booker said, Wednesday, then it goes into school holidays. But otherwise, very excited ahead of the big awards coming up there in Auckland. We'll see you there. And otherwise, yeah, enjoy your short weekend, the long weekend.
Yeah.
I'll catch you back
Have
on
fun.
Wednesday.
Be safe. See yous.
Holy snapping duck shit.
My good mate from Bump and Run, Booker, joins us.
I'm excited for another great show tonight. Give it the hoot, Natty.